In 2025, I think we can all agree that carry guns, EDC guns, have become incredibly boring. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of guns out there nowadays that just don't really do anything to change the market. There's, they're adding ports and stuff like that, but it's like every company basically makes a gun with ports. The design hasn't changed, whether it's a 1911, 2011 design or like a striker fired. Really, to be fair, the SIGs, the Smith Wessons, the Glocks, all of those, they're basically all a similar design that hasn't changed whatsoever. Well, what has changed? Laugo Arms is introducing the Alien Remus. The Remus is a compact version of the Laugo Arms Alien, which if you didn't see our review, I do recommend that you check that out because the way these pistols shoot is very different than everything else on the market, and they truly have a very different shooting experience. They're built very well. We'll cover all the features of this pistol. We'll shoot it a bunch today and I'll give you guys my thoughts. If you saw the video of the original Alien, you'll recognize that I thought it shot incredibly well. It shoots just extremely flat. I haven't had a chance to shoot the Remus outside of SHOT Show, so shooting it today, I'm looking forward to doing. Now, So now with the Remus, what you get overall is like a 4-inch barrel. It's shorter than what you had originally with the standard Alien. And then the grip length on here is a 15+1 capacity grip length. So I have two separate magazines that ship with the pistol. One is a 15-round mag. You'll see it's a flush fit feel with a mag well that does come with the gun and a nice aluminum base pad that comes with it as well. The other one is a 17-round magazine. You'll see it has a larger base pad on there, and you'll notice it does stick out quite a bit more, which could lend to more printing and less concealment, right? The two mags though, they fit well. They're nice steel mags. They are built very well. The magazine release here on the side of the gun for a right-handed shooter is swappable, but it is a larger, let's say, type paddle, quote unquote, right? So the way it's textured, the way it is actually contoured is very easy to fit without me actually having to release or change my grip to get it. How the pistol sits in my hand, right? So if you look in my hand, how this pistol sits is extremely low. And actually where my thumb comes up and rides against the bottom of, let's say, the frame, the barrel is actually sitting at that same level. One thing I noticed while shooting the original Alien was I noticed it did get warm, right? It got very warm underneath on the top of the trigger guard when I was shooting. And that's because the barrel ultimately sits just above where your trigger finger goes. So you can kind of start to feel it. Now, some folks may look at that and say, that's a problem. Now, is it annoying as you shoot, 300-400 rounds at a time? Sure it is, right? But if you're carrying a gun concealment or you're using it for competition use, you're not shooting that many rounds at once before the gun ultimately gets a chance to cool down. So it doesn't pose a problem practically, right? Just more like when you're training, it's something to take note of. The grip panels on here, they are like a diamond type G10 on here. They're very grippy and they have a nice contour on the left side here for my right-handed shooters. And then, if you did go out and buy aftermarket grips or something like that, they could be different. It does have a nice LPI checkering on the front and back strap. And overall, let's say the grip angle on here is somewhat similar to like what you might find on like a 226 or something like that. It feels good in your hand. It feels very natural and points very well, unlike how like a Glock, which has, let's say, the lowest bore axis for standard striker fire guns feels. It does have that little more of like an angle that's very aggressive. This does not have that. Now the trigger on here, I was able to measure this a couple times and I pretty much consistently get about 2.5 pounds. Some folks, you're gonna say that's too light for you. I can't say that for me. I think it feels very, very, very nice. It's a very clear and defined wall with minimal to no creep, right? So there's a little bit of take up. I mean, we're talking, if it's a 16th of an inch, that's probably generous, right? You come back, you hit that little trigger blade, which sits flat, and you don't even notice it. There's no creep at the wall. And then it has a very, very short reset, right? And it's audible if you want it. Not too worried about that doing in-flight resets. Now, something that's unique about the Remus, especially outside of it just being smaller, is the fact that it does actually have a safety on it, right? Being a carry gun, they did design it to be more safe, quote unquote. So Laugo Arms has drop tested these pistols, very extensive stuff. I've seen it on the internet myself. I've watched people do it from 2-3 story buildings with loaded rounds and you're not having any issues, right? So the pistol is drop safe, unlike some 2011 designs. So now you come down here and it does have a safety. If you want to use it, you can. If it's not your prerogative and you don't want to, it's not in the way and it hides out of the way essentially. So because this is a striker fire type design. But if it's flipped up, it's obviously unsafe. You can't pull the trigger, flip it down, and you can pull the trigger. If you want to, let's say, leave it on, coming into the pistol, you can flick it down pretty darn easily. Like if you're coming in to acquire your master grip out of the holster, you'll be able to flick that safety off, come up and fire the pistol. It's not something that's hard to get, and it's not like an afterthought necessarily, like many pistols are, where they just all of a sudden add a safety. The 365 series comes to mind to that. Now, the rest of the pistol, there's two different models. There's an iron sight model. There's also the optic kit model. This is the optic kit model. Now, what's different about the optic kit model versus the other one is the obvious, right? It can hold an optic. On here, we do have a Delta Point Pro footprint, and we are using the Defender X ST from Vortex. This dot is a great overall value. It sits well on here. There's a feature on here in particular why I think this is the perfect dot for it. But out of the box, they are going to come with the RMSC footprint. You'll get that, and if you want other ones, they're going to have acro and some of the other ones available as well. Now on the front here though, they have what's called the PTR, push to rack system. So normally on the Alien pistols, right, the slide itself does not, the whole thing doesn't move, right? It's just this, basically this part underneath the optic rail. And that actually helps keep the sight just flat. It doesn't move with the rail or the slide like a normal pistol does. It stays there. What you would say, and what I found with the original Alien, is a little bit on the harder side to ultimately like rack. Like let's say in a self-defense situation, clear malfunction, whatever it might be, you need to be able to really manipulate a little bit easier. And so this one is a little bit on the harder side. They added the PTR system because what it does is if you just hit the optic, it won't do anything. It doesn't unlock it and your optic does not move. But if you come down over the top and you push up against your optic while also deactivating this nub here for PTR, it actually allows you to rack the pistol using the top of the slide. So ultimately the spot that normally doesn't move, it will move if you hit that. It's very easy to get. In fact, I tried it on the tabletop. If you did it on there, it'll work as well. And with the Defender ST, or really all the Defender series, they have that texturing on the front of the optic itself, so it makes it very nice. So if you want to rack it that way, you can. You come across the top and do it as well. It works. It's a very nice system. Now, the obvious thing with any of the Laugo Arms pistols, they are very expensive. I will come out and tell you they are not for everybody. If you believe they are, well, you're just going to really start to hurt yourself and not allow yourself to really open your mind to a pistol that's truly very different. This is a gas-operated pistol. It's not like a John Moses Browning type design. The barrel doesn't lock back or anything like that. It just stays in the pistol and it's gas-operated. They are very reliable, but they are different, right? So the different and the engineering and everything that goes into there, they're handcrafted, right? So they're hand-fitted, all that type of stuff. It does go into play with the cost. So they're about a $5,500 pistol, give or take, depending on the model you get, right? So they're expensive. And again, like I said, they're not for everybody. But if you're somebody interested in something different that is also a carry gun, it may be perfect for you. Or better yet, if you're somebody that wants to shoot this as like a competition pistol while also carrying it, it may be perfect for you as well. Brought up a lot of points. The number one most important part though about the Alien pistols, or this Remus in particular, is going to be how it shoots. So let's shoot this thing. So I have the pistol zeroed. I'm actually just gonna start this thing off right away with a bill drill. I shot it 15 rounds, right, to get this thing zeroed and confirmed it. I'm gonna start the skin with a bill drill. So out of concealment, using a G-code holster that are available that you could be able to get. So we'll try this right away, see how we do. All right, so for our bill drill here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These first ones here was just some old target there. Overall, the pistol shoots good. You notice I'm a little bit on the higher side, right? So I noticed with this pistol, when I come out to full presentation, to an extent, it's almost like it's a little bit angled up. Now, granted, as of recently, I've shot a lot of like 2011s and the 2311 a lot. The grip angle is just a little bit different than that, so it's a little bit getting used to. But out of the box, come out and shoot. It's a bill drill from concealment at 246 with the Remus. It blew the doors off my Bull Armory Ultralight Pro that I've been carrying. How it shoots. It's pretty incredible. So let's shoot a few more. I've got 2 torso C-zone steel targets set up at about 15 to 20 yards. I'm going to do 2 on the right target, 2 on the left target, and finish off with 1 headshot on our hostage swinger. .430 on that. Transitions, all that stuff looked good. Let's see, how's our draw time? First shot was 195, so really probably speed up the draw a little bit, but again, doing it with a holster and a gun that I don't carry, I really cannot complain. How does this shoot? Pretty incredible. Joe, who's filming for me right now, we both made the comment that it's probably one of the first ones you can see it legitimately just doesn't move. In fact, like anticipating recoil to the point of like when you're shooting other guns, like you anticipate it's going to come up and down, like what your dot's going to do. This doesn't do that. The dot just stays in the exact same spot every single shot. Even my 2011s I've shot that are ported and stuff like that, they don't shoot like this. And this thing, there is not another pistol in the market that shoots like this thing. It's truly incredible. Let's load up some more rounds. So we got some initial thoughts out of the way, right? So now I'm just gonna run this Remus through some drills. I'm gonna load up probably a few hundred rounds through this. I'm not gonna do any talking. I'm just gonna shoot a bunch of drills and I'll give you guys some final thoughts on it. We'll let this pistol speak for itself. I have to give you a brief intermission. For once, out of all the guns we've shot in this channel, can I say that a pistol that costs over $2,000, $3,000 shoots like it should cost that much? A few more rounds. The Laugo Arms Remus. If this is a carry gun, it's the best shooting carry gun I've ever shot. It's a little bit on the larger side compared to what I would normally carry, but the way that this pistol shoots, there is absolutely nothing like it. It does it all without a compensator, right? And the barrel itself, and in fact, what I think is pretty interesting is, so like this gun, I didn't lube it before I shot it, almost on purpose. Probably not advised by the folks that work for Laugo, but on purpose, I didn't lube it because I wanted to see how it performed. 300 rounds, no lube, performed flawlessly. It shoots really well. I didn't use the safety today. For me, I wouldn't use it on this personally. For a lot of folks, maybe that's a good idea for you. The trigger on here, although light, right? Because I mentioned it's about a 2 to 2.5 pound pole. It's light, and I don't recommend it for everybody. What I'll tell you is that it's very predictable with no surprises, right? So the minute you put your finger on that trigger and you start to press, it's gonna go bang. So unless you're ready to shoot, that finger better not be on the trigger, or better yet, you should understand the wall, how it works on whatever pistol you're shooting. How this thing started to point for me versus the first few rounds started to become even more natural. It just doesn't ever really leave zero. A lot of pistols, you talk about how they return to zero, or how they return back to being ready to shoot, or predicting where that red dot's gonna go to shoot faster. Well, with this pistol, there is none of that, to be fair. It's more just shoot it because the dot's not moving. And the dot never leaves the window on this gun. You know, I caught myself a couple times, not necessarily hunting for the dot, but trying to more or less get it in that window right away. Now, some of that is just more practice and time on the gun. But you know, the times I was shooting this pistol, I mean, I ran the plate rack with no issues. It's fast, it's easy to shoot from concealment, it draws well. It's got a very, very nice grip on it. It's hot today, my hands are sweaty, and the Remus is an awesome shooting gun. Again, I will tell you, this is not for everybody because of the price. But if you're somebody who wants a carry gun that will pull an EDC roll while simultaneously shooting matches on the weekend, I don't know how you beat this. I really don't. And especially like if you're somebody, you know, who doesn't want to shoot the 2311s, the 2011s, stuff like that, and you want something different, this is it. I mean, this has a better trigger than pretty much most of the guns I've shot recently. It has a better trigger than every single 2011 I own. Staccatos, STIs, Bull Armories, my 2311s, the trigger is just better. It has a better feel, it has a better break. It's truly an incredible design, and it's not like anything else. And the fact that they call it an Alien is cool, right? Because it's just so much different than everything else. And the way it performs is different than everything else. Again, it's gonna be cost prohibitive for some, but if you got the coin and you feel like spending money, the Laugo Arms Alien Remus is for you.